Hey everyone, this is Mr. Everything, and today I wanted to do an unboxing and overview of the AlexaPure Breeze air purifier. This is something I've been looking at for a while. I've always used air purifiers. I've always gotten the cheap ones. This one doesn't seem to be like I know there's some that are way more expensive. I saw one that's like $700 or something, but for the price, this one's way bigger. It has good reviews. It's good quality. So I just wanted to go ahead and try it out. And there was a few videos on here, but not too many. And some of them, were kind of in like bedrooms where it wasn't too bright. So hopefully this will be worth something, and hopefully it'll help in my situation. But this is pretty big too. I really don't have that much room to film this. So I can't put it on my desk, obviously, to get where I usually set things up. But yeah, it's quite big. Now I would assume that in the box it's probably going to be a little bit bigger with all the packaging. And I ordered this one from InfoWars. I mean, it ships through My Patriot Supply, but I buy it on InfoWars because they have a better price, and I add Patriot points, and then you earn more points. So to me, that's the way to do it. Let's see if I can get this on camera. Quick start guide. Nothing on the back. Just telling you how to do the filters, because one of the filters are already installed, and they have some of them have plastic wrap, and I think there have been people that were dumb enough to not take them out. And then the manual. There's actually a good bit in here, all in English too, so they know who their customers are, I guess. So good bit in there. Maybe I'll look through that later. And there it is. Yep, pretty large. So here's cord. I'd say it's probably about 6 feet, so it's not super long. I mean, if you can find a spot right next to your outlet. Otherwise, you might need an extension cord. But I mean, there's really not too much going on. It's basically all behind this panel here, which pops off. It's just magnetic, which is pretty nice. So you can tell it's definitely better quality than the ones I've used in the past. And you got the magnets that hold it on. And you even have this little instruction sheet here telling you how to check the filters and everything. It's actually peeling up a little bit here, but so I don't know. That tells you what to do there. And then here's your filters. So this is the pre-filter, which kind of hard to. So it just has tabs that lock in. This is basically like a standard air conditioner filter, basically the same style. It's obviously cut and keyed a little different, but usually, I mean, I guess if they get really dirty, you could rinse it out, but usually I find that just going over it with the vacuum gets the dust off. So these are pretty simple. You can get these from My Patriot if you would need another one, but they're reusable. And then the next one is this activated carbon filter, and it's got some heft to it. It's definitely different than the Febreze ones I use, because if you can, like, there's actually, I guess, carbon in it. The ones I'm used to are almost like a black foam, just a little layer taped on the HEPA. And yeah, actually, yeah, if you look at that, I don't know if you can see that on camera. Yeah, you can see that right there. All these little pieces of carbon. So it looks like it's basically just like a screen or a thin mesh, clear. And then you have this honeycomb. And then inside the honeycomb, you have individual pieces of carbon. So it's not carbon infused, it's just like legit carbon in this filter. And yeah, you can see it up against the light, like right where so that's neat, because I'm used to just a thin like foam that would just go over this that was quote unquote carbon infused. And maybe it did something, but I mean, this is literal pieces of carbon in a filter, and it's thick and it's hefty. So this is definitely an improvement over that. And then the third stage is the HEPA filter itself. And I really like this whole setup. It's all individual, so you could replace something. But I mean, I think you got to buy, aside from the pre-filter, you got to buy these, the carbon and the HEPA together, I think. But you could still just replace one, or you could actually, what I'd do with my Febreze one, you can just vacuum these. Now, obviously, they're like pleated. They're gonna get stuff infused in them that you can't get out. And if that good pre-filter and the carbon, this probably won't get too bad. It'll probably last the 6 to 12 months that they say. But you could always vacuum it and you get access to both sides, which is nice. It's really big, so I really think this will make a difference. It's almost as big as the machine itself, aside from this accommodation here. Now, the thickness is about the same as what the Febreze and some other filters I've seen are, but just this bigger surface area, I think it'll make a difference. And I really don't see, I mean, there's the fan. It's just it's a little bit different. You know, some of them have like a cage fan or a roller fan. Maybe that's just to vent the fan. I think the fan might just be up here. Oh, it is kind of a cage fan, like this hamster wheel looking thing. So, but nonetheless, that's where I guess the intake would be, and this is where the exhaust would be. So, I mean, there's really not much else going on there, so I think I'll just put it back together and go from there. Okay, so here's a comparison between the Febreze I had on the left there, and I actually inverted mine, because that right there is where I keep that one. I've had it for about 3 years now, and what I didn't like, and I didn't think of it until about a year ago, was if you inverted it, I just put some little rubber feet on the back to keep it, because it's not flat, and then that way it intakes the air that way, and it blows it out this way, because otherwise it would blow the air on my bed, and it'd kind of make, it would lift your sheet up, and it would get, in the wintertime, it'd get you a little chill. It was okay in the summer, but, so I don't know, this one, since this one also exhausts up, and it's so much bigger, I really don't want it there, kind of be in the way when you try and get out of bed. I'll have to find somewhere else for it, but you can see there's quite a size difference. And, I mean, the dimensions are on their website, but, so we're looking right about 21 in height. Width's a little under 14, maybe 13 3/4, and it's got a lot of depth, so right around 8 inches compared to this one, which like this, it's only 10 inches by about a foot, maybe a little less. But another thing I'd like to demonstrate or show is what the filter, if I can, there, is this filter. You can see that they dirty up, so I just, when I vacuum the carpets every now and then, I'll just, because this is basically your pre-filter on this, so you don't have that mesh, you don't have that screen to capture the dust and the bigger particles. It just basically goes right into this carbon and then blocks the whole filter. And you can see, I actually write when I do them, you're supposed to change them every, I think 4 months. I usually stretch it out to 6. So that way I don't have to buy as many filters. But you can keep this kind of clean by vacuuming that off. But you can see this one's pretty much done. It's pretty dirty. You can't really do anything when it gets infused like that. So I mean, that's why I'm thinking that should make a pretty big difference. And again, this is what I was talking about. It's just this thin stuff that I guess has carbon in it, but it's completely different than this style. So this is, I guess, just to say they have carbon, but this seems to be better. So let me put this back in. And one more thing I want to show that I do like is this one has a scent cartridge that it accommodates. And these don't make, I mean, they make a little difference, but it seems like after a while they basically just don't, either they wear out or they're just not that strong. But you could obviously just cut this out and put something else in it, or soak it with some oil that has some scent to it. It's a nice idea. This doesn't have any accommodation for that, but obviously where there's a will, there's a way. You could maybe just tape something inside this, or just put an air freshener right here, or set it up here. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal. If you really want a scent, it's not that hard to come up with something. I guess I'll do a little sound test here. So this is the Febreze. That's on high, which is what I usually keep it on. Low. But yeah, unless it's like really, really cold in the wintertime and you don't want any air circulation, I like it on high. Just even for white noise, I like to have the sound of a fan. This one was pretty good, so hopefully this one's not too much louder, but I could just run it on a lower setting if that's the case. So the AlexaPure, this one has beeps. So it's saying the air has problems, which I would imagine it does. In my situation, I live in an apartment, top floor, and the wonderful people below are known not to bathe or work, and I think you can figure out what their political affiliation would be. So I've never had an air filter or air purifier that could really keep up, because you have multiple people, almost like a small, like Portland chop down below you, and they would always outnumber the amount of filtration I could do, and you just couldn't beat it. So hopefully this can at least get some of the stench and lower it down to at least what it would be tolerable. Which is, I like the light, so that's definitely telling me that there's problem with the air, especially in the summertime, because in this bedroom, when the air conditioner's in, you can't really, there's no other window, so the air is sealed off, airflow. And in the wintertime, usually it's too cold, so you gotta keep the window closed most of the time that way as well. So probably would have been good for me to this really is whisper quiet. That's on high from as far as I can tell. Or no, sorry, now it's on high. It doesn't seem to adjust instantly, so that's why it was throwing me off there. Yeah, it does get pretty loud now. And it just gets louder, maybe because it's brand new, its motor's still working in or something. Because now it is pretty loud. Now, I guess at this point it would help if I read the instructions, but I just wanted to cover everything. So in case you haven't bought one, because some videos just showed, this, or they just talked about it. I just wanted to show, everything that's in it, which is basically just the filters and the dimensions, how I'm using it. But so it's auto. So I think auto's saying that it needs to go to this speed, which is like the next, because as you saw, that was 3, all 3 together was the high. And again, I it's my fault for not monitoring the audio, but I don't know if you can pick it up, but it takes quite a while for it to adjust. I can still hear the fan going slower, so it's not instant. So that was throwing me off there a little bit, because now it's getting much quieter. That's auto, so that's what probably most people would leave it on. I'll probably just leave it on whatever sound level is most tolerable personally. So silent. Take this off. It really goes down to silent. I mean, it's running, but so I think it's obvious at this point. We'll just keep it there for right now. And then you have a timer, and these are some bright LEDs. I mean, just looking at them, I'm getting the glare in my eye. Now, this is, I like that they give you that option, but that's something I'm never going to use. I believe this is a sensor, so if you cover this, it'll think it's dark. I think it said it takes 2 minutes of darkness to so this will shut off at night, because again, these lights are so bright. Normally, as I did with my Febreze, I just got a little piece of electrical tape, but for this, that is pretty bright. Even for in the daytime, it'll be noticeable. But as long as at nighttime with that sensor, as long as it shuts off, it's not a big deal. Or you could put tape over it once you learn what the buttons are. And let me mention, there is no remote with it, so you do have to come over here, but I guess you just put it on auto and not really worry about it. So I won't be using the timers. These buttons, which is in the user manual, if you own one and you're worried about that, just look in the manual. quite frankly. But one, I think, tells you to clean it, and then it'll tell you to replace the filter, and then if it goes to the third one, then it won't work, I think, until you put a new filter in it. And there's some maintenance on the side. Yeah, I think there's that, because I watched one of the few videos, there was one on how to service it. I think there's a port in here you can clean, it's the sensor. And then there's a reset button, it's a little yellow button, I think, that's in one of these vents. It's actually right there, if you can kind of see where my finger's at. But, so that's basically my first impressions. It definitely gets really strong, blows a lot of air. It looks like it's going to do well for the size of the filters. It's giving that electrical smell, because it does have that ionizer in it. But I'm not sure. Hopefully it'll smell like that all the time. I personally like the smell of new TVs, and when you get a new electronic, it gives off that electrical scent. Personally, I like that. Most people don't. But I'm not sure if that'll always be from the ionizer, if it's just because it's a new product. It has plenty of features here. It gets really quiet if you need it to be, but it can move a lot of air too, so I can see how it can do that 800 square feet, definitely on the max setting. So unless something major happens, I can probably just come back in the comments, 6 months, see if the filter needs replaced, or can I go a year with it, because I plan on keeping it on 24/7. But aside from, again, neighbor stench, I don't have pets or anything, so I wouldn't think the air would get too contaminated with particles that would clog it, so maybe it will last longer. At this point I'm rambling, but there really isn't an in-depth review on this, and obviously I'll put timestamps or something so you can skip through it to find hopefully a part that's relevant to you. So now I just got to find a place to put this monster of an air purifier. I'd recommend getting it from InfoWars. Cheaper, get Patriot points, help the broadcast out, and my Patriot too, even if you buy from them. They're both great companies, and either way, they both kind of benefit from whichever one you buy from. So hopefully that helped you out, showed you something. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else I can tell you. And thanks for watching, and you'll see me in the next one. Have a good one.